Welcome to the fight game. He's Icewater, I'm Puma, and we're announcing we're going to be in Las Vegas this coming week. Of course, it's my boy's birthday, and we're going to cover some fights while we're out there, and we're going to gamble, and we're going to bet on some horses. So, so there was a fight last night, Eubanks and Ben, and unfortunately, I did not get to see it. I know you said you know something about it, so I'm going to give it over to you. And there's some fights coming up that we need to talk about that we're going to be in Vegas checking out. So Connor Ben and Eubanks, I heard it was a brawl, and even Eubanks was saying after the fight, I didn't know who was going to win at one point because we were going for it, and he gave him kudos, his father, Ben Senior, about the relationship they have. But it looked like a full out war with those two guys, and they had the scars to show it. And your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, so we're talking about the junior middleweight division. Conor Ben's 28 years old, injured 23 and old, undefeated, facing Chris Eubanks, 35 years old, came in at 33 and 3. Great matchup. Both guys fighting, giving you everything that you want. Very physical early on. Kind of looked like Conor Ben was handling business from early on. But somewhere or another, Chris Eubanks Jr. dug deep. And late in the rounds, he showed a lot of physicality, a lot of power. They both were exchanging very action-packed fight, but Eubanks Jr. came out of nowhere, just like you could just tell that he was being more physical and was making more of an impact because he was backing Conor Ben up. And I think it was something new for Conor Ben because he's been undefeated and he's been uh, talked about with possibly future matchups that's going to get him paid and put him in front of a lot of more Americans, and so he get a little bit more love that way. But the resiliency of Chris Eubank Jr. has to be talked about. Again, 35 years old. I think they said he fought Arthur Abraham back in there. I said, "Are you my goodness? Are you serious?" I had to look at his record. I said, "You know how long ago Arthur Abraham has been around?"
Yeah.
I mean, says a lot. Says a lot about the toughness of Eubanks Jr. It'd be interesting to see what happens for him next with that loss, because a lot of the stuff that he was receiving, a lot of accolades and opportunities may go by the wayside, so might have to work his way back up. But an amazing fight, and I encourage fans to go back and watch the replays. Tell us what you think, who you think won. But I do agree with the way that Chris Eubank Jr. was able to come along strong in the end, in the later rounds, and dominate and secure the victory.
So I know people are talking about Eubanks. Should he focus on Canelo now, or I'm thinking, where does he go from here? That was a brutal fight last night. So does he have what it takes to either go after Canelo or go after somebody else or continue fighting? You say he's in his mid 30s at this particular point. Does he have it still in him to fight the top contenders or champions in his weight class?
I think yeah. I mean, the way he fought last night, he showed you he's able to beat down a younger man and take what he thought should be his. But the question is, can he get that up all the time? From the standpoint of can he bring that performance every time that he fights? And I'm not sure how many fights he has left.
Yeah.
So you can say you want Canelo and chasing him, but you're not. Canelo's probably not going to drop down to 160 to fight you. You got to come to 68. And if I was him, I would stay at 60. There's a lot at 60. A lot of guys at 60. We definitely know that a fight right off the box, if he wanted to, would probably be a good fight for him, depending on what's happening shortly here down the line, is Jamal Charlo.
Yeah.
He's able to keep his belt, and then also if he disposes of Caleb Plant, then that would be a good fight. There's a lot of guys at 160 that can fight, and I'm not sure you can drop down to 154. I mean, as far as that's concerned, you really at 160 can fight, or even at 154. 154 is loaded. It's loaded. So if you want to stay there at 154, there's a lot of guys down there from Lubin to we've been waiting on Lubin to come back, right? Lubin, or if you wanted to mess around, get you a little Fedora, it might move up too. There's a lot of guys in there in that weight class are waiting to fight at 154, so you can get it. But if you're talking about having that dream fight with Canelo, You're going to have to go to 168. The question is, are you able to compete at that level and make a difference at that level?
Yeah, I know there's some upcoming fights that we're going to be checking out while we're in Vegas. Um, I look at the Ryan Garcia versus Romero fight as a way for Ryan Garcia to get back into the swing of things. I know there are a lot of fights under that card. Haney is fighting under that card. A number of other fighters fighting under that card. It almost seems like it's a redemption on that card. They're not fighting each other, but they're fighting folks to set up for fights coming down the pike. So, your thoughts on the fight card on Friday? Actually,
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. The thing about it is in New York City, right? And the way they set it up, it's not like for fans. You had to have an invite, right? So they put it like right in the middle of Times Square. So amazing fight the way that they're doing it, and you know it's really about the boxing. Ryan Garcia, as you mentioned earlier, will be fighting Rolly Romero. It's a tough fight for Ryan because Rolly can punch. He's a little bit more unorthodox. He's gonna come at you crazy. So I think with Ryan Garcia, in order to stay on point for the rematch with Devin Haney, just had to come in, take his time, put on a good show, and he needs to dispose of Rolly Romero. Riley's a good guy, he fights hard, whatever, but sometimes he loses his IQ and his tech
yeah,
where he's at, and he
just
just
swinging.
throwing
Yeah,
wild punches. And if you're sound in the fact that you're able to be patient, like Ryan Garcia should be able to do now, since he's more focused, he should be able to dispose of him. That's what I think he should do. Moving over
you
to
got
that,
Devin Haney and Jose
yeah,
Ramirez. They're
yeah,
fighting.
yeah. I think that Devin Haney rose Jose Ramirez. See, a lot of people are saying that they think that fight with Ramirez, because Ramirez is a tough guy. You know, he's been in there with a lot of good people. That it might be too much for Devin Haney right away. Like Ramirez is not going to lay down. But I think on the other hand, Devin Haney's trying to prove I'm still the guy. I'm the guy I told you I am.
Right.
So to take this fight on, it's not going to be easy. Ramirez throws hard, he hits hard, and he's a veteran as well. So maybe Devin Haney is getting ready again for another war with Ryan by facing another tough dude that can punch. So we will see about the preparation. We will see. I mean, in regards to how these when they mix it up, but this is a way for some, as you mentioned, a little redemption for 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 him to move up, Devin Haney, that is, to
Right.
trying to get back before everything comes together. And then you mentioned before Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barboza Jr. Um, we just don't know what Teofimo Lopez we're gonna get in the ring. He talks so much crap, and he's a very great fighter when he wants to be. He has the ability to. He's a very skilled boxer. He can box you or he can knock you out. We just don't know because he plays so much and he talks so much crap. We don't know who we're gonna get in the ring until he gets in the ring.
Right. So that those should be interesting bouts. I know Saturday you have Canelo against Skull,
Yeah.
and you have some fights under that card. These fights are going to be in Saudi Arabia, I believe. Tell me about what you see in that fight.
When you mentioned about Canelo, right? Canelo is just kind of tuning up. I think he wanted to go over there and I think he tried to go over there and try to get the money right. So, right, when you're dealing with, with Turkey and whatnot, and it's like, okay, let's give you something to get wood, because normally he would be in Vegas.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, for this deal, you want me over here, you want people to see me. I may never ever come back, so I'll come over there. Particularly if that gets me to where I want to be with Crawford. Crawford's going to be no nonsense. It's going to be a great fight if he survives this. So I think it's just Skulls has nothing to lose, but Canelo's not going to let this opportunity pass him by. He's been waiting on this big fight, get this money, and if he beats Crawford, oh my goodness, you cannot. Canelo already says on the face. I am the face. I continue to. He's gonna be so. He gonna skyrocket because his ego is probably gonna be so high if he can just overcome this big challenge.
Know what I started thinking about, like when we make our NFL picks, and you have a team that's looking 2 weeks ahead to play like an arch rival or something, and then they have that game before, and all of a sudden it's like, what happened? You lose this game. I'm just throwing this out there. What would it? how would people react, or what would it do to the Crawford fight if Canelo makes a misstep and falls to this particular opponent who nobody thinks he's going to win? I never heard of him before, but what if? Let's do the Marvel thing. What if this happens? How would that affect the Crawford fight?
One, most people probably call it a fix.
Mm,
Yeah, they would call it a fix. I'm like, why would you? How is this even possible when it's Canelo? How come he never laid down no other times before?
right.
So people would call it a fix. I think uh, the interest will still be there, but I think the amount of money people would pay would go down dramatically. That pay per view may not be as great as it was,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, because they would say maybe Canelo's getting older, which a lot of people have said he lost a step. You've heard that before. And then it's like, well, we don't want to see him fight Bud, and Bud is fighting a damaged fighter. The other thing, so you can't get the accolades that you would beating a prime Canelo or a guy that at least still has something left. So I think it would do a disservice to Bud Crawford too, because people are going to say, "Oh, the reason why he lost because he's getting older. He didn't have it anymore." What they're saying a lot, people are trying to say the same thing about Lomachenko. So they think he lost a step. So with that being said, yeah, I think it would hurt that fight dramatically.
Okay, we got the Monster fighting on Sunday, and in Las Vegas. So, is this kind of like routine introducing the Monster to the United States as one of the premier fighters in the world?
Yeah, because sooner or later it was going to happen, and they needed to bring him over. And this is no better time, particularly with Canelo not being in the area. So really, it's all about the monster. You may not get the reception. I mean, he did in Los Angeles and things like that, but now you're bringing him to Vegas. People were watching. They want to see him. He gets introduced to what it's like to be in America, the hospitality, how they do things over here. Because sooner or later, it's going to be time. It's going to be time to man up and see somebody. So it depends on that's who you want to see. So again, I know the big fight for me is Nakatani versus Nakatani in Japan. He has to come over here and try to get this money straight because sooner or later it's going to be time for the monster to come over to America and show the people who he really is.
All right. We'll be together over the weekend, looking at these fights and giving you our reports. Hopefully, I'll make a lot of money while I'm there, and and we will see you next week. He's Icewater and Puma, and this is the Fight Game.